So thank you for coming on today. First off, can you introduce yourself for our viewers?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Peter Molloy. I'm the Managing Director of Metro Rod. Metro Rod is part of the Franchise Brands Group, and I also have responsibility for a couple of other businesses, which is Willow Pumps and Filter, who provide commercial kitchen services. And under the Metro Rod banner, there is also a business called Metro Plumb. So we pretty much cover everything from water into waste out through the division that I manage.
Okay. And how long has Metro Rod been in operation for?
It's an interesting question because on June the 13th this year, it will be our 40th anniversary. We started 40 years ago with one van in Macclesfield, and that's expanded over the period where we've got something in the region of 500 vans on the road, 50 depots, 70 tankers, 550 drainage engineers. So it's significantly bigger than it was when it started.
Wow.
But it's been an interesting journey.
Indeed. So what are the services that you offer?
As I said, there are a number of businesses under the B2B division of Franchise Brands that I look after. So from plumbing services for any commercial or domestic property in the UK, drainage services, and as I say, commercial kitchen environment. And just drilling down a little bit in terms of the drainage element of what we do, we provide a planned and reactive service to thousands of customers annually. As I say, operating out of 50 depots. And that range of services, people think that drainage is relatively simple. We just go and clear a drain or clear a blockage, and that's the end of it. It's much more sophisticated than that. It's having the ability to identify a problem, to diagnose that, and then come up with a solution. It's giving our customers the ability to see what their drainage systems look like and how to maintain them. And we have a view that working with our customers is really important. We can be seen as just a reactive service to come and clear a blockage, but if a care home, for example, has got a drainage problem and it closes part of the facility or it makes life difficult, a lot of that is preventable by using our maintenance services. So it's as I say, it's working with our customers to understand what their key drivers are and what's important in their environment.
Do you see a lot of issues around this with care homes?
Yes. And I mean, care homes are no different than any other business. That we all have a responsibility to dispose of waste in the right way and not pollute the drains. And we see commonly, sluice drains being blocked, etc., etc. And the problem with drainage is it's never front of mind because everything's underground. Everything's invisible. So you don't know you've got a problem until you've got a problem. As I say, there are ways of mitigating that by using some of our services. And, it's clearly a vulnerable environment where, the residents need to be cared for. The people working in the care homes don't want to be dealing with emergency situations. So, as I say, working with an organisation like Metro Rod, some of that can be prevented. And we can educate and advise people in terms of how to treat the drainage systems and what to do differently to prevent any blockages.
What would you say would be the first signs of a problem that a care home provider could pick up on?
Generally, the smell. If you've got a blocked drain, it's going to manifest itself really in a smell. And clearly we all know that if you flush your toilet and it's not going anywhere, you've got a problem. And you need to act very quickly to deal with that because generally speaking, it's not going to go away. You need somebody who's an expert to come in and look at how they can resolve that problem. And equally, if there are catering facilities on site and the drains being blocked from the kitchen and slow flowing from the kitchen, what that is indicating is that there's fat, soils and grease in the system. And again, without a professional cleaning, that's not going to go away. And again, in that catering environment, there are things that we can do with grease removal units and various other systems that can prevent that from happening.
Okay. So there are a lot of regulations that care providers can fall foul of when it comes to drainage. What are the consequences of not meeting regulations, and how can Metro Rod help with this?
Well, as I referred to earlier, we've all got a responsibility, and commercial properties have got obligations under building regulations to ensure that the drainage system is fit for purpose. So I think the one bit of advice I would give to everybody is have a drain map done so you know where the drains run to and from. Because if you have got a problem, that's much easier for anybody coming in to fix that, is to then, as I say, identify where the problem is and put in place a solution. And a drain map will give you, it does exactly what it says. It'll tell you where the drains run to and from. But equally then have a camera survey, which gives you an underground view of what the drainage system is like and what the condition of the systems are. Because the drainage systems in the UK are not in great state. And they deteriorate over time. And you can get displaced joints, you can get collapses of drainage systems. And you don't know that that's a problem until, as I say, it manifests itself in a blockage or a smell, or at the worst case scenario, the facilities not being available to the staff and the residents. So getting that visual inspection is really important. And then if we identify a problem, we can put a proposal in place that resolves that problem and ensures that the drains run to the optimum level.
Okay. And another issue with not having proper drainage is the effect that this can have on the residents' health. So could you tell me a bit more about that?
Well, I mean, first of all, there's just a disruption for the residents. Some of the facilities are not working. Equally, sewage and fat soils and grease are great grounds for bacteria. And bacteria can get into the air, and it is not an environment that anybody who's vulnerable would want to be in. So it comes back to this element of saying, well, how do I prevent that? Because once it's there, it's there. Then got to get it cleaned up, and you've got the facilities that aren't in use. So I think the implications are fairly huge, but the prevention is fairly simple.
Okay. And installing a proper drainage system will also minimise care homes pollution, thus benefiting the environment. Could we talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there's obviously new builds on care homes, and there are regulations that you've got to follow in terms of building regulations to ensure that you've installed an adequate drainage system. From our experience, the majority of people are adopting properties that had a previous use. And that previous use could be something that isn't as much going down the drainage system. The drainage system might not be designed and be fit for purpose for a residential care home. And again, if you're thinking of doing that, it's really important to get those drains inspection pre-adoption, because as you alluded to, if the drains aren't fit for purpose, you're going to have a problem.
Okay. And why is drainage in car parks something care home providers should be concerned about at the moment?
I think as all of us as consumers and visitors to locations, there's nothing worse than turning up to a car park that's flooded. If I get out of my car and I put my feet in a puddle and it's going over my shoes, then it's not a great environment. And equally, where you've got lots of visitors coming in, the maintenance of the car park is really important. And that's where, one of the things we talk about is intelligent plan maintenance. You might have a car park where there's a drainage run that's under some trees, for example. We know from experience that the leaves and the debris from the trees is going to pollute the drainage system and prevent it working to its optimum level. Equally, you might have a drain that runs outside the front door that's not near any trees, that runs freely the majority of the time. So it's using the care home's money wisely to say, where would you put that planned maintenance in place? Not necessarily to be done everywhere. So it manages the care home's budget, but it ensures the experience of visitors and residents is again to the right experience and the right level.
And in summary, why do you believe Metro Rod is a cut above competition when it comes to drainage for care homes?
I think there's a number of reasons. Our vast experience in the arena, the fact that we've got 50 depots around the country with 500 engineers that can react very quickly if there is a problem. I think some of the technology we deploy, where asset mapping, for example, which is a drain map, not everybody's offering that service. And also the technology we deploy to our customers, where they can track a job, they can see an engineer's job card, they can see a live link to a video of the camera survey. All of those things are important. So I think where we're a cut above the rest is, I think the training and the quality of our engineers and our recognition that drainage is important, but not as important as keeping the care home open. The cost of having a drain cleared or repaired is relatively modest compared to the disruption of a care home not operating. It's insignificant. And I think what we try and do is to put ourselves in the hands of the customers as to what the impact on their business is, and then tailoring a solution to ensure that they have no business interruption at all.
Okay. Were there any other topics that you wanted to cover?
I think just really, if you want to deal with somebody who's doing some drainage work, be it Metro or anybody else, is do your homework. Ensure that the people are experienced, well trained, have got all the safety systems in place. The environments that we work in are far and wide and varied. And it's important that if you're engaging with a contractor, they've got the right accreditations. Safety is absolutely paramount in everything that we do. And that safety isn't just about the safety of our engineers, it's the safety of our customers, the residents, their customers. So I think that would be the advice I would give to anybody. And if you can get a drain survey done, they give you comfort that your drains are going to operate properly.
Fantastic. Well, that covers everything. Thank you for talking to me today. It's been great to learn more about Metro Rod and how you guys help care home providers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.